Hello everyone, it is TrainKing James back once again with Thomas Battles. It has been a very long time since we have done this show. It's been since October. I've been busy, but I'm proud to have a brand new cast with brand new questions here for everybody. And we're celebrating the Christmas season here on Community Radio, so what better way to battle it out Christmas style? We're going to deck some halls and jingle each other's bells, and that sounds wrong.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
I will not be jingling one ball during this recording.
Jingle bell.
But anyway, if you guys just heard some of our guests. We're going to start with, all of our guests here actually today are newbies, but we're going to start with one of them being William Politeski.
Hi, I'm William Politeski. Some people call me Will Politeski, and low-key, if you call me that, it kind of hurts my feelings. Just going to let you know. Shout out to all the haters.
And we're going to go next to his sidekick / smelly dude, PercySix Productions, otherwise known as Miles.
Guys, he actually makes good content. Come on.
Yeah,
What content?
Hey, I was in the early years collab.
http://instagram.com/miles or PercySix Productions.
Yeah.
Anyway, and our last person is, you know him from By the Farm, you know him from Stay Away from the Accordion Girl, you know him from that, the name escapes you, that Scooby-Doo Thomas crossover, the FamousEight.
Howdy. Hi.
The real thing you should be staying away from is Alex.
Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, this intro has gone on too long and we've messed around a bit, so let's get back on track. So we're talking Christmas. 'Tis the season, the Thomas Battles. We're going to get right into the first question. And our first question is, what is the best Christmas episode? And we're going to go starting with Will.
All right, so I think that the best Christmas episode in Thomas is James Works It Out.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you want me to give a little, description of why I think so?
That'll suffice for right now. We'll get into it a bit. So, Miles, you can go next.
I think the best Thomas Christmas episode is Thomas's Christmas Party from season 1.
Thomas's Christmas Party. All right. And Alex?
I think the best Thomas Christmas episode is Last Train for Christmas from one of the CGI seasons.
So, this is really interesting. We have an episode from the three main eras of the show. You've got a classic series episode. You got the later new model series. We never really defined it as
New
anything.
series, yeah.
New series, model series, whatever. And then you have the CGI series, Brenner era. We got 3 matchups. So let's hear from, I want to hear from Miles first. So let's go get into Thomas's Christmas Party a bit.
All right. Well, Christmas is all about family, and being with the ones you love. And I think Thomas's Christmas Party is a fantastic example of this, with how Mrs. Kindly helped out the railway, and now the railway in return is hosting this whole party for her and helping clear her house of snow when she gets trapped in. And the last line of the episode, Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends thought it was the best Christmas ever. Miss Kindly could think of nowhere she would rather live than here on the island of Sodor. I think that is just such a beautiful line of the unity that Christmas brings to people.
All right. Alex, we're going to go to you next. I want to hear about The Last Train for Christmas.
So The Last Train for Christmas brings together that Christmas unity that Miles was sort of talking about, where you have all the main sort of engines from the season coming together to make sure everyone comes home for Christmas. And I really like the teamwork that's shown. I love how everyone's on character. I love how everyone's coming together, even Diesel, to help everyone get there. And it brings the whole season to a good wrap because you see Duck and Oliver who came back. You see the slip coaches being used. And it just sort of makes everything fit in perfect unison with the Christmas spirit of giving to others and always caring for one another. And I think a pivotal moment would be when Sir Topham Hatt sort of comes to the realization that, hey, we can all help because it's Christmas and we should all be there for each other.
All right. And with arguably the most controversial option, Will, James works it out. I want
All
to hear.
right. So the reason I chose James Works It Out is because different from you two focused on the morals of Christmas and everyone working together as a family. I'm focusing on two of the characters in this episode, Hector and James, because this is the first out of the only two episodes Hector ever got to himself that shows Hector when he was brought down to earth. And this one really shows like what Hector's really like, because trucks notoriously over the island are known as troublesome, and they give them a great power. But the strongest, most powerful truck in the yard is the one that breaks the stigma of them being troublesome, which makes Hector like the biggest wild card, him being this strong giant of a truck and being able to overpower all of them. And the main, everything on the island, all the engines are different, but the main thing that everyone can solemnly agree on is that they hate trucks. Everyone hates trucks, and no one hates trucks nearly as much as James. James is at the top of the quote-unquote being racist towards trucks, hierarchy, and he absolutely hates them. And this episode is really important because it not only shows James breaking that stigma about him hating trucks, but it actually shows him friend a truck. And that is really important because him being paired with James here is really important, because already being with a bad temper because he has to pull coal trucks and then has to be told what to do by said trucks would make him infuriated. But it shows how Hector really is, because it shows how he handles situations. And even with James being pissed off, yelling at Hector, saying that his advice is inferior of his because he's a truck, he doesn't get cross at James. He doesn't yell at him and says he's right. Like in Gator and the Gator and Toad episode, Toad's bright idea. Toad even gets mad at James. But Hector is so level-headed that he doesn't even get mad at James. He all he wants for James, he simply wants to do everything he can do to help him complete the job. And even, James being the most racist on the island towards coal cars, Hector doesn't, hold that to him at all. And, also, showing how level-minded and trustworthy that Hector is. Because an engine like James, who hates, trucks so much, the fact that James can even trust Hector in the end and trust his opinion enough to become his friend, because this is the first time we have ever seen an engine friend a truck. Not pizza rolling stock because it's Toad and Clarabelle, but a truck that someone has become a friend. That was James. And it really shows that it's very important, because the fact that it's not someone like Thomas or Henry or Edward even, it's James. James is the one that becomes Hector's friend, one of his closest friends. And the thing that I love about this is that Deep Freeze, I know you all know that story from the Railway Series book, James and the Diesel Engines. That is a very important story, because that shows James breaking the stigma of him being racist towards diesels. And that is an amazing story, because we don't get to see what the works diesel is like, but we get to know, that he is very friendly. But in this, we see how nice Hector is. And this is literally the Deep Freeze of the show. This is the exact same version of Deep Freeze, but told in a truck story. And that is crazy that James is the one that breaks the stigma against hating trucks, and the fact that he actually friends one makes this episode, above all, which is, I just love Hector's character, and this portrays Hector's character perfectly in this episode, which is why I love it. And I also love it because it's a monumental moment for James friending a truck, and anyone friending a truck for that matter. So that's why I think it's the best, Christmassy episode.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to just duke it out, kind of take down each other's points, and I'll call time when I think I've made a decision.
All right.
Well,
Oh my!
I can go first.
You can go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to say that the thing about Thomas and the Christmas party is that, it does show a lot about family, but the thing is, though, you don't really. The difference is that you in both of your episodes, you get to see how everyone works as a team, and how everyone is, a big loving family of sorts. But the thing is, we never get to see anyone's it doesn't really it shows how we all work together. But both of those, none of them stand out, and there's no like, because in a lot of the episodes, the engines do work together, and there's nothing that really stands out from those two episodes that I can think that is like a, like that stands above the rest,
To be fair, I think that Last Train for Christmas stands out by the sheer scale of the issue because there's a clear stake with Christmas. You want the family that's established at the beginning to get home. It's that basic humanity. And we see Connor have that sort of character moment, and then it brings core members of the cast. So it's more the sheer size and scale of it. Everyone's working. This is a dire issue. This is a genuine threat to something that we all want.
Is that, like you said, the one family, like that's a good thing to, like, make you hold on to that one family. But it would, to make the episode at a way larger scale would make the stakes really high. There's not that many high stakes for just one family, but it feels like...
Well, it isn't one family. The one family represents a whole body of family, a whole body of passengers.
We never get to see the rest of the family speak up. If we got to see the entire station erupt with wanting to get home, but instead of just this one family that Connor, talks to and says, we're going to get you home, if the whole island, like, everyone in the station was trying to get home, it would show, like, how much, and show, like, the panic of, like, trying to get home. Because it's not just like a happy thing trying to get home for Christmas. Like, you need to get home. That's a very important thing.
Well,
like, what are
there was a very big panic. That's why the slip coaches were needed. It didn't show it in the episode due to probably an animation budget and the time of the scene, but the station's hectic. I know they use Crovan's Gate, even though it's supposed to be the mainland, but it is implied heavily that there is a large, overwhelming amount of passengers, hence why Connor needs to use the slip coaches to get home. Because he needs to drop all these people off.
I would think, though, that it would add a severity to the situation. And instead of it was just the family on the platform, he's standing there and, like, solemnly saying, like, they're sad they want to make it home. But if there was a sheer panic and, like, in with all the station and, like, and instead of just, saying, like, oh, like, just being all, like, quiet and saying, like, we need to get home. If there was a clear, like, panic and, like, Connor was even like, oh, my goodness, like, how am I going to handle this? And he was even scared. And it would show that, like, Christmas and like that would stand out to me because it wouldn't be as just like, it wouldn't make it like sugarcoat it. And I know it doesn't have to be completely like real life because it's a children's show, but it would show that if there was like a clear panic in the station, it would show that, like, it would build up to the build up to the slip coaches would be a lot more it would be a lot more like emotional. Like, whoa, this is a very big
to be fair, Connor does make a promise very soon, immediately after the family says that they want to get home, that he is going to get them home. He tries to comfort them, and that's why he wants to uphold his promise. And that's why he gets so many people involved, and that's why everyone helps each other, because they know that there are a lot of passengers that want to get home.
Miles, do you have anything to say?
One thing I will say, I want to hear you guys talk about James Works It Out a bit, because I've heard a lot on the Last Train for Christmas. I've heard a little on Thomas's Christmas Party, but for me to really make my point, I want to hear what Alex and Miles have to say on James Works It Out. I want to hear that.
Well, what I think for James Works It Out, like I do agree with that. It is a very significant moment for James, but I don't like the thing is that could have taken place any time of the year, and I don't think any of what you said would have changed. I don't know that it's so much of a Christmas episode as it is a character episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can point of view.
The difference with it, they clearly state at the start of the episode when they're taking the coal. The thing is, the reason this train is so important, it's not just like a regular coal train. The only reason James, at the start of it, is going to be taking this and he doesn't show disgust for the train is because it's for the villagers, the coal train to take to the village and the mountains for the people. And that's the only reason James wants to take it. So, he can, help the people up in the hills. And immediately he only gets mad, not from the train, but from Hector, and all the other trucks telling James what to do, and that's what makes him mad. But the thing is, the reason it makes it Christmassy is because, they have something to rely on. They need to take the coal to the villagers, or none of them will have any, heating in their houses or for, for Christmas. So it does bring a severity to the situation, and it's not just like a normal run-of-the-mill, just like goods train. It's power for all these houses and like people.
I I feel like that would fit more just in the terms of a cold winter rather than like Christmas, though, because it's a very visually sort of gloomy episode with the calm snow. I love the atmosphere, and I get what you said about the character moment, but I don't feel that it necessarily reflects like a Christmassy sort of bringing everyone together value, because it's a way more
But
personal
that's the
story.
thing. When you're bringing people together, not just bringing people together doesn't mean just bringing the family together. It means bringing the people who are neglected together, and making sure everyone is happy on Christmas. And the fact that the trucks have been neglected, shunned, and like completely just like no one's their friends. The fact that the two far set off characters, James and like a truck, can become friends on Christmas, like on a in a Christmassy episode, can show that friendships comes together on Christmas. It's not just family coming together. It's we're making sure everyone can be happy on like a day like that.
Please fill me in on this because I'm not really sure. But does James reconcile with all the trucks, or is it just Hector?
It's with Hector.
So he doesn't necessarily bring all the trucks together. It's just the one that's helping him out.
Yes, but the point being is that he breaks the stick. It's not that James becomes friends with every truck on the island because there are troublesome trucks that because there are truly engines that don't deserve, like there are so many engines on DR and bad steam engines in general who don't deserve to have friends, and there are bad trucks like everywhere. But showing that Hector, because exactly like going back to the deep freeze thing, and the deep freeze when the works diesel, James doesn't have to friend every diesel to break this, but the reason that deep freeze is such an important episode is that shows that one diesel, breaks the stigma and opens up, it's enlightenment. If someone is like breaking their disdain towards like a certain gender or certain like race of people, they don't have to become friends with every person because there's bad people all around. But the fact that James friends Hector just shows that this is a big step into, James becoming a way better engine.
All right, and I'm sorry, guys, because this is running long, but I think I have my decision. And this was an interesting argument. Definitely wavered a lot, and I think I'm going to go with Alex's choice of The Last Train for Christmas.
Yeah.
Will, you had a really strong argument for James Works It Out, but I think the thing that really killed you is when Alex and Miles were getting out and about. It doesn't feel like it's strictly a Christmas thing, and it just so happens to take place in winter. So, because the biggest thing that you focused on was this character moment for James. But what Miles and Alex were arguing was why this episode embodies the spirit of Christmas and why. Now, if you had taken your argument, for example, and taken the spirit of forgiveness and friendships and really tied that in more, I think I could have gotten more in your corner. But just with what I had, I think I'm going to go with Alex.
Yay.
All right. So, next question, which is we're going to have these three pitch a new Thomas Christmas theme. So this can be in any range. This is not strictly Wooden Railway. You have any range that exists. You have to have at least one character, one piece of rolling stock, and destination. That's it. So we're going to start with Will this time. Oh, no. We'll start with Miles since I started with Will last time.
All right. My idea was a Wooden Railway set.
Okay.
Which it's like the Castle Plaza where there's like it would be two platforms with two tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And it would come with a Glen, and a cargo car with, a tree that, you can assemble. That,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, the ones where it's, the two pieces of wood, but then they they interlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so is that it for right now?
Yeah.
All right, so Will, we'll go to you next.
All right. My set is a set about this episode. It's Only Snow. You guys should go watch my remake. I put it up last year. It was a really good remake. You should watch it.
Okay, Will.
anyways, but then my item would include a snow-covered Thomas. And you're saying, Will, they already have snow-covered Thomas. But no, what is the one thing everyone says about the snow-covered Thomas with a snowplow? You have to rip the snowplow off. Just why don't make the snowplow removable? So boom, Thomas with a removable snowplow. And the rolling stock that would come with it is a long flatbed, one of those gray long flatbeds that are always seen in the show. And it would have a Christmas tree on the flatbed. On the back of the train, there would be a brake van. And the destinations that come with it are a collapsible water tower. And there would also be a station.
All right, and
I'll get into more detail about that later.
Alex, your last.
So this is a little bit more of a spicy idea, but I propose something for the minis line. I propose a piece of track, or mainly a main central hub. It can be themed like Santa's workshop that clips onto a Christmas tree. And you can have many little ports from this little Santa's hub that lead to tracks that you can clip on a tree. And the reason I sort of came to this is minis work as excellent little ornaments. You can hang them everywhere. They look Christmassy. They're in style. So this little set, you'd be able to buy expansion packs, accessories, to sort of set up a little minis layout on a tree. You have the height to do giant drops. You can hang them from stuff. You can have one of those Hot Wheel type launchers that can launch them around the tree and however you want. And it could work as a track system on the floor when you're done. The engine it would include is a Minis James with a Christmas sweater and a Minis truck that is green, sort of like the green Classic Series trucks, but it'd have toys inside.
All right, this is interesting. Will, I want to hear about your set. What's the design? Is it a loop?
Okay, so the set that I did a remake of, so you should watch my remake. So it's basically the snow-covered Thomas that comes with it. So again, I just want to touch on this again. The snowplow, I've seen many customs that, they remove the snowplow. And this isn't about customs, though. The custom makers in the community are crazy, and they can make anything. But this is talking about an official set that everyone has access to, because not everyone can, I think everyone can make a custom, but people are not willing to or do not have the time or the money to make customs, which is quite all right. But this is, an item. So to have a Thomas that has a snowplow that is removable, just like, other brands have done, Trackmaster, would be perfect because you can have the snow-covered Thomas, but then you can also have Thomas with the removable snowplow. And you can even put the snowplow on other engines if you wanted to, because this would, start up. They could even make snowplows for every engine. And the long flatbed is a perfect thing because that flatbed has been seen in so many seasons of the show. And I see so many custom makers buying those Brio green ones, but those aren't the same. And those are clearly not, they don't look like they have to customize them because they're green to even make them look better. And they still have like the metal Brio disc wheels. So to have a full like Gordon size long flatbed with those little things sticking up on the sides and wooden railway wheels, that would be awesome to have a big bogey flatbed because we don't have a big bogey flatbed. This would also you could also put engines on this, which is another great thing because this flatbed is used for many things in the show. And this would have a Christmas tree to load onto the flatbed, just like in the episode when Thomas takes the Christmas tree to the village. And another crucial thing that everyone doesn't have is a brake band. We have Toad and the NW brake band, but those are both specific characters. All we have is cabooses. To have just a normal brown brake band at the end of the train, just like he has in the episode, would be amazing because we totally need brake bands in this. That is a very crucial thing that everyone should have. And again, not everyone wants to make customs because it's obvious. So, it would be great to have a brake band. And then the collapsible water tower that Thomas would hit, it'd be a way too delicate to have the snowplow swing off to the side and create a mechanism for that. That would just be way too delicate to have that even be able to function in wooden railway. I forgot to mention, I'm doing wooden railway if you didn't know. But then to have that swing off to the side, that'd be too delicate. It would snap off and break. So it would just be simply a magnet or slide right onto the magnet casing, the snowplow. And this collapsible water tower, what it would do is it would be able to collapse because it would plug into the side of a piece of track. And once you roll over the track, there would be a little, the pressure thing that you push down on. And once you push down on it, like the engine rolls over it, it like presses it down, and the water tower would collapse. So it looks like when the engine goes by, water tower falls over. And this is also good because you don't have to plug it into the track, and you can have the standing water tower, kind of like that collapsible windmill in the Storm on Soda set. You can stand that up. I used that for many years, and I just had a windmill, but then you can also collapse it. So to have a water tower would be great because the 92 ones are completely overpriced on eBay. So to have a proper water tower would be great. And the yellow one, let's be honest, it looks terrible. And you know, one of the track, I already mentioned that. And then it would be also a station that acts as the village, and then there would just be a simple loop track with a switch. So then they would have a big loop with some curves, and then you'd have the switch so Thomas can go in, he can put on the snowplow, he can pick up the Christmas tree, and he can take it all the way down the line, past the water tower, have the water tower collapse, and then make it all the way to the station, where then he would then unload the Christmas tree for the people in the town. And I was thinking, because in the newer sets, like, they don't have people as much. But if this were an older set, I would definitely include some snowy Christmas trees and some villagers for the town, because I think that would be great. That is my set.
All right. Alex, you go more into detail with yours, I guess.
All right. So everyone has a Christmas tree train that they set up around their tree, or if not everyone, a lot of people do. And a lot of times people will use a Thomas set. I know that they tried to capitalize on this. It is. I know that's why G-scale Thomases are bought commonly. There's just a huge market for that. So I feel that by having minis and making a little track that would go around the tree that you can set up, you can decide if you want a zipline track around the tree, or you can decide what it is. It would be a cool little hub and a way to play with your minis without having to have some big plasticky stand. And you'd be able to display all your other minis on the tree because they do make good ornaments. You can stick a Christmas tree branch through the little coupling hook, and the minis do clearly
Branch.
the minis do easily capitalize on how Christmassy they are. There's so many Christmas themes, winter themes. They do the advent calendar. So it would be cool to sort of make a Christmas set that would be small, easy to produce, easy to store. You don't even have to take it down after Christmas is over because it has track. It would just be a fun sort of way to make minis a more effective and dynamic brand to bring into the house.
And Miles, talk to me about your set, what it looks like, how it works, and stuff like that.
All right. Well, it's just it would just be the two tracks, and there's a platform in between them. And then there's the platform right to the side of one of the tracks. You know what I mean? Like how it is in the show.
So is it like a complete set where it's kind of where it has loops or something, or is it like one of those 90s wooden rally sets where it's like the Thomas and Birdie's Great Race set or whatever it's called, because it's midnight and I can't think straight. Where it's just a couple of destinations and some things. Because I would technically count that. Is it more like that?
Yeah, it is.
All right, so now I know what to visualize. All right.
Yeah, and it's
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
Oh, and it includes Glenn, who's who we don't have any versions of, and he I know he was introduced in The Adventure Begins, but he's really reintroduced and actually used in the show, in Christmas episodes, So I him in the castle, I think, go along with Christmas so well. And the idea of him pulling that Christmas tree cargo car, it is the cargo car with the Christmas tree is fun to use in just other, you could use it out of that set too for a fun Christmas thing, or a fun Christmas accessory. But then you can put the tree at the station to then have everyone celebrating Christmas. I think that's a very cool idea, and I would really like to see that made.
All right, so I'm going to do something very different that we don't do on the show.
Oh, God.
Instead of having you guys debate each other on this, I want you guys, and I'm going to time you, do about a 30-second to 1-minute advert of this product. of how you would pitch it as like an advertisement. Because you're trying to convince me as a consumer to buy.
Well, okay, hold on. Is it like one of those adverts on the Trackmaster ones where they're like, the kids are like, wow,
Not that.
great height,
Just
wow, holy shit.
Not like that, but like if you guys were to advertise this to somebody and highlight its features and tell them why they should buy your set, do that for me. And I'm going to ask Alex to go first. And
Can we please debate after, though? I really want to debate.
I don't think so this time, because I just want to see who can convince me more to buy their product. That's the thing. And if you guys can really get that through in this little advert, I think that'll really help me sell who I want to buy from. All right, so Alex, you can begin now.
So everyone always has a Christmas tree train that they throw in the garage and then take out once every year. So why not have one that you can keep around all year as a track system for minis? Not only would you be able to add on to it constantly by adding all your favorite Christmas minis and favorite characters, but you can do whatever you want with it. You can make a tree, you can make a loop around the tree. You could make a slide down to the bottom with all the presents. You could have a little base. You could race your favorite engines. You could store them in Santa's workshop. You could do so much with this set just to bring alive the minis line and to have a whole, just way to sort of display what your collection and all your fun winter-themed minis.
All right. Miles, your turn.
All right. So, wait, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Well, I think this set would be very marketable because it gives a new character first being introduced in the set who is also introduced in the Christmas time during the show. But it includes a new location as well, which I think both of which will make it very catching to the eye. And it does have a very nice Christmas feel with not only the episodes that surrounds the set, but also with the inclusion of the Christmas tree in that cargo car. So I think with all of those put together, it would be a very nice set that could be used in many different ways on your layouts.
All right. And Will.
All right, so the thing I loved doing the most as a kid was seeing the episode that loved on the show and recreating them in my set form. But sometimes you don't have everything that's needed to create that. Like, simple things like flatbeds and brake vans are so crucial things, but sometimes you just don't have the proper medium to recreate those. But with this set, it not only gives you the medium to recreate those, taking Thomas, equipping him with his snowplow, being able to recreate the scene where you put on his snowplow, and being able to remove it, and taking Thomas down the line with his Christmas tree and flatbed and brake van and tow, and taking him down by the water tower where it destroys, and you take him to the final station, and you can have the villagers with Thomas finally taking the tree triumphantly. But it also gives you some crucial items that most people would need in their wooden railway collection, such as a flatbed and a brake van, which everyone should have in their collection.
All right, so I'm ready to make a decision. This person sold me on their advert. This person, I can visualize their set the best. It definitely sounds like something I'd want, and I'm going to go with Will.
Yes.
Will, I liked your set. It was simple. It had action. It was a nice piece. Alex, I really liked yours. Miles, I liked yours too. I just thought yours was a little too simple in a way that it kind of I felt like you kind of went a little too niche with it. And I feel like
the inside of the castle would be a lot of a more grander set to have, like the inside castle.
I think
Alex, not everyone has 5 Christmas trees like you, so sorry.
Whoa, okay, damn.
All right. We're going to move on to the next question before these guys brawl. Now, we've all sung them. We all love them. It's Christmas time, and it's the time of Christmas music. And as we know, Thomas has its fair share of Christmas songs, so we're going to talk about which one is the worst. And we're going to start with
Oh my. Well, this wasn't hard to come up with, but I think Glenn's Christmas Wish is the worst Christmas song. for a number of reasons. Shall I explain? Okay.
We'll hold
First-
off on that.
Oh.
Sorry. It's fine. No, sorry. I just want to make sure we can get through hear everybody's points real quick. Will, your turn.
If I mumble, I have a candy cane in my mouth. Okay. My worst Christmas song is Branch. No, I'm kidding. It is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Or no matter, there's no place like home. There's
No place like home. Okay.
There's no place like home. I didn't know the name. I'm sorry. I hate it. Okay, Miles.
All right. So my least favorite Christmas song is It's Christmas Time. Okay, let me explain. So reason number one.
Let's hold off on that. But all right. So this is interesting. So we have 3 Christmas songs, all of them CGI songs. So season 18 songs, season 19 songs, season 20 songs. So we're gonna start with Alex since he was first. I want to hear about why he doesn't like Glynn's Christmas Wish.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, firstly, nothing really rhymes that well. It's literally just telling the story, and it relies very heavily on actual moments from the show, like not in sync with the music. It's just sort of telling the story because they couldn't come up with anything creative on their own. It also says Sodor wrong is Sordor, and it's such a weird format. It's so tame. There's no swing. It's just... it feels like looking at cardboard that someone tried to make look teal with like a colored pencil, but because it's a colored pencil on cardboard.
The sound of cardboard.
You know, some of us do, but when it's a teal colored pencil scraping cardboard, not even making
teal.
an
Dude,
indent,
no love for teal pencil. No love for teal pencil.
because teal is a bland, boring color.
I hate you. We're gonna fight. Can I explain? Okay, I'm gonna explain. Okay, so why I hate the song is because the thing that stands out about Thomas songs is that they're not songs, they're Thomas songs. They include the characters. They talk about not only moments from the show, but they include how the engines feel with these moments from the show and how they correlate in with those. You know, it's not just like certain songs that don't reference Thomas at all. They just feel like they could be songs, and this is exactly what I feel like it is. I'll be home for Christmas. The chorus is I'll be home for Christmas, no matter how much it snows. Like, that is, the thing is, first of all, the engines are freaking home. They're on the island. This is their home. So, and, if they were touching on a character like Gator, who is homesick, that could have worked. But they did not take that opportunity, and they instead decided to use lines like this. So when they reference Emily, they, because in most Christmas songs, they reference things that are relevant to what's happening, and they're like vague, like topics. They're like, they find a topic, and then they, apply that to the engines. This is such a specific one. I'll be home for Christmas no matter how much it snows. And there's no place like home. And when they make the references and how this correlates to the characters and how this isn't just some random, like, crappy Christmas song you'll hear when you're going up the elevator of some, like, scary hotel, like, they reference Emily, and they say that she's doing stuff involving gifts and cards and ribbons and parties too, which I don't know how Emily can write cards, but she can. I guess she has great writing. But I don't understand. The thing is about a song is you have to, it can't just be a song. You have to make it Thomasy, and you have to, how the characters relate to this. Talk about their moments, talk about how the characters feel in these situations, and this does not do that. It's like it's telling half of a song about wanting to be home for Christmas, and then talking about the characters just doing other, random Christmas vibe things. The song has nothing to do with the main plot. And, they have, like, other songs, like the Snow Song. They have, it's a vague theme that they can plug them into. And, the Glynn one, you can reference right off, and you can put in, at least you can, like, quantifiably point to something and say, this is what this is from, and this is, like, the Glynn moments. And you know that because that's the topic. But this, it just does not correlate at all. It has a main topic, and then when relating about Thomas, it just completely drops the ball. So it could just as well serve as some random, like, knockoff Christmas song. So
Okay.
why do you want to fight?
Yeah, I do want to fight really badly now.
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
we have to let Miles speak.
Hey.
Yes, please. I think It's Christmas Time is the worst because, like, I mean, the lyrics aren't very involved. I feel like it's Christmas time all down the line, and children's spirits climb because it's Christmas time, like Christmas time and Christmas time. Smart rhyme. And it also says Emily's heaving snow, so like she's pulling it, which I don't get. And I feel like if you take the lyrics away from the song, I would literally have no clue that it's a Christmas song. Like, it doesn't scream Christmas whatsoever to me. It just sounds like another generic song.
Okay. Okay. Well, first I'd like to combat you, Will, by saying I'll Be Home for Christmas, or whatever it's actually called, is a lot more interesting if you put it into the perspective, which it probably was intended, but of Connor getting home for Christmas. It very closely matches Connor's experience in The Last Train for Christmas. And although it doesn't reference it specifically, at least it's an actual song that you can hum. Heck, you were even humming it before we started this call. And Miles, in terms of your song, it doesn't just rhyme it's Christmas time with Christmas time all the time. It rhymes it's Christmas time all down the line. And I still make the case again, at least it does rhyme in some place and is an actual song with a melody and not just the retelling of the story in excruciating detail.
Well, Alex, Connor wasn't trying to get home. Connor was at Crovan's Gate. Like you said, he was at Crovan's Gate. So he was already on Sodor. He was already...
Well, he was supposed to be at the mainland. That's what Alex was saying earlier.
Well, technically what happened is Connor...
The thing is, though, if they were trying to make this a Connor thing and correlate it, like, for example, Glenn's Christmas Wish, they're clearly talking about that episode. It's the title. And they talk about lyrics involving the title. They talk about nothing with Connor in this episode. If something just lines up with something and they're like, oh, yeah, this happened, then, yeah, that I guess that's a coincidence. But they should have referenced stuff instead of, because the only lyrics, they talk about, I'll be home for Christmas. Oh, now we're Thomas and Emily. Here, there's, like, Emily is planning gifts and cards and ribbons and parties, too. Thomas is moving fast with a smile on his face. And, like, there's nothing. And they're just talking about decorating stations, festive decorations. They marry at the station, the bells are ringing, and then immediately, when it cuts to the chorus, it just changes the subject. If you're going to have a song, you need it to, stay on a subject and pick that subject. And clearly both of your songs can do that. And, yeah.
Well, that is very true. But if you watch The Last Train for Christmas, Emily and Thomas are the two side characters given the most substantial amount of screen time. And although this song was most likely not intended for that, it is eerily close. The entire first section I'm looking at on the Wikipedia is literally like, I think Connor said some things incredibly similar to this, like, the tracks are clear and I'm getting near. Connor was trying to race back as the tracks were getting cleared and he was getting near. I'll be home for Christmas no matter how much it snows. I think that's a direct line from the episode. So although it probably was not intended in the way that in the way that this song was produced, it is definitely something it aligns to. And overall, it is still a song that is about something Christmassy rather than the other Glenn song that I don't remember the lyrics because it's literally just what... It's if you read a Thomas script all as the narrator. It doesn't have any flair. It's taking the worst part of the episode, none of the visuals, none of the character moments. It's just saying what happened factually, one after another, like reading a Wikipedia summary.
Well, Alex, that may be true. But I would like to counter your statement.
Why do you sound so professional?
Dare I say you have been mistaken, and I take you for a fool.
Oh my!
No, but I think at least the Glenn song, at least like it has like the fun doo-woppy, like the.
But That's
thing
like
at the
the
start.
only
That's
song part about it. Like, it doesn't have really anything else. That's the only musical part. You could read this as an epilogue and it'd be the same, but like the only thing they add is that doo-wop doo-wah. And it's awkward and weird, and it cuts in at random times, and then they'll like put it on the background of actual clips from the episode. It's like watching a movie that relies almost exclusively on learning
I know,
segments.
but most of the thing you're talking about
weird.
is the tune. But the thing that it's just the tune of the song that you don't like. But that can easily, but the content of the song is good. They're talking about the topic that they chose. They're talking
It's just
about
the episode.
all of the Glenn. They're talking about the Glenn episode, which is what the Glenn episode is. If I'm gonna listen to a song, I want to know. If I'm gonna click on a song, I should know what that song is gonna be about. It shouldn't be about something.
But this is like
completely
taking it to an extreme.
And at least
This
this is an actual Thomas song, not just some random song that.
But this is
happens
way
to-
too
happens
literal.
to correlate.
This is literally the episode step by step, walking you through even the unimportant parts, and even saying information in the improper order. Like it said that Glenn went to the Earl. No, the Earl went to Glenn, and Glenn didn't even know that the Earl was there until Thomas got him to bring him to him. It says it wrong, and it says it too literally, focusing everything on it. This would be like if the Island song focused on the history of Sodor instead of being more, vague. At least the other songs are specifically Christmas songs that cover a more general idea rather than being too literal.
All right, and we're going to cut it there. All right, this was a tough one. And I'm going to give the point just barely edging it out, and it was so close. Alex. I was so close. There were so many times I wanted to give it to Will, but then Alex would say something, but then Will would say something. The two of you guys pointed out things in your songs that to each knock each other would be the worst, in a sense. It's like, because Alex, you said your argument.
Wait, what happens if we tie?
You didn't tie.
What happened? No, what happens if we tie at the end? Like two people get 2 points, and
We go to a bonus round, which I'm prepared for.
Oh.
Why?
So, anyway, Alex, you edged it out.
I never got shut down so hard. Oh my god.
But I thought overall, Alex, the arguments, the mistakes in the song, bringing up the fact that somebody didn't even say Sodor correctly. I mean, that just kind of edged it out for me. All right, so we're going to get into...
Low-hanging fruit. Next one.
All right, so this question's a very interesting question to ask. This is a very weird one, and bear with us. And if you have any young children next to you that don't want the spirit of Christmas ruined for them, I suggest that you probably not have them watch this section of the episode.
God!
For those of you who are still here, so the question is, if Santa exists on Thomas, which in my opinion is debatable because there's evidence for and against it.
Wait. Oh, sorry. Continue. Sorry.
Which engine would believe in him? But I added the caveat besides Percy.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
You're just assuming Percy. You don't know Percy. You don't know Percy like I do, huh?
Oh. Oh.
Jeez.
Oh, where's Percy?
Well, we already know Will's not about to get this next point for insulting James.
James can't be biased, okay? James is a good host, right, James? I love you. Okay, Alex, go.
I accuse you. Miles. No offense, Alex, but I run the show around here.
Oh, yes. I would never question your authority.
Oh, yeah, okay. Teacher's pet. I see how it is.
Will's about to get a timeout. Anyway, Miles, go.
The character that I thought would believe in Santa that's not Percy is Philip.
Oh.
Alex, your turn.
I was in... I said Marion.
Okay, can I just really quickly say before this, I'm no lie, Miles and I were both thinking of one, and we both were thinking of Marion. But again, low-hanging fruit, I'm going with Henry.
Henry. All right, so we got the long and fast Henry, the cheerful Philip, and the talkative Marion. I want to hear about Henry, Will. Talk to me.
Put me on the spot. Okay. that's
Talk
weird.
to me.
Okay, so I've been having a real rough time, James. You're my therapist now. Okay. So basically, the reason I think Henry would believe in Santa is because at face value, the three big engines, Gordon, James, and Henry, they act superior over the other engines. They don't chat about silly things that like tank engines would talk about. They only talk about the most superior of knowledge. But the thing is, though, I feel as if even James, to an extent, James, Henry, and Gordon are all, James and Henry both feel some sort of, pressure from Gordon. Kind of work up to him and his power. And the thing is, I feel like deep down, Henry would believe in Santa, but Gordon and James would be the ones to make him bottle it up inside and not speak about it. But deep down, he really does believe in him. Because think about it, Henry is a very believable, he is a very, when he is paired up with the likes of Gordon and James, he will talk. The thing is, this is the thing I love about Henry. I would consider him being one of Percy's best friends. And when he gets back from the works right after the flying kipper accident, Percy is the only one to consult him in the sheds after everyone else is being rude about his whistle. And Percy will completely back up Henry, even though at times Henry will just call Percy a silly little tank because he wants to work up to Gordon and James. But I know Henry out of Gordon and James, Henry would be the one to be able to fit in with Thomas and Percy and their character and be able to talk with the both of them. And the thing is, if they were talking to, Thomas and Percy, I'm sure Henry would, deep down actually believe in Santa. But I even think, even if he was talking to them, he would always be thinking in the back of his head that Gordon and James, would judge him and be like, oh, Henry, that is, and James says, well, you can't seriously believe in that, nonsense or something like that. It's just it's all fairy tales or something like that. And then Henry would, he would immediately be the laughing stock of the two of them, which is obviously something Henry wants to avoid. He wants to impress both of them, and because Henry and James always have that little battle going on to impress Gordon. So I feel like that is a very stupid thing for Henry to just put himself into that trap. But I do think deep down he would believe in Santa Claus, and the big engine's ego would immediately force that idea into Henry's mind that Santa is silly and shouldn't be believed in because that is just it's silly tank engine talk. And, that's something that Henry shouldn't be talking about. So I think Henry does truly believe in Santa, but face value, the bigger engines peer pressure him into kind of hiding that from the rest of them.
All right, I want to hear about Philip.
All right. Well, Will is saying how Henry, it could be rational for him deep down to believe in Santa. Philip would very easily, without a doubt in my mind, he believes. That is so perfectly him, just his naive, childish, but not necessarily in a bad way. But it's just, that's really who he is. And he would have no fear to be yeah, I believe in Santa, so what? And everyone, regardless of whoever would judge him, because even in the one where Philip and Gordon race, and Gordon's all mad at Philip, but Philip still claims he won and stuff. I feel regardless of what anyone says, Philip won't stop believing. And I feel wholeheartedly, I believe Philip would.
One of the viewers just sang. When you said that line, Miles.
What?
One of the viewers just sang. You said, "Don't stop believing." I know someone at home was like, "Hold on to that feeling." I knew someone did that. Someone's gotta have to do that. Sorry, sorry. I'm really sorry.
Will, this does not support my argument.
All right, ladies.
Oh yeah,
knock
Philip
it off.
sucks.
You're both beautiful. Are you
That's
done,
the
Miles?
nicest thing you've ever said about me. Yeah, I think so. Until the debates.
Below the fat.
Alex, talk to me about Marion.
So, other than the obvious factor that she's gullible, I feel that a lot of characters would initially believe in Santa Claus, but the thing with Santa Claus is the myth is that it's only as good as the people who believe. If most kids, they're told by other kids that, hey, Santa isn't real, and then, they start to say, oh, yeah. But Marion is a character who, even when told something isn't real, even when shown something isn't real, she will still believe that that character is real. Like, other characters might learn from another engine that he isn't real, and then they'd be like, oh, well, I guess not. Like, especially if they have a bigger influence in their life. I don't think Santa's something that people cling to. I think it's an idea that gets ruined when people tell you, oh, hey, this was a lie. But Marion, a perfect example is when she thought the small engines were magic. She was told that both Olivers were, set, but she still relentlessly believed it, and she went far with it, and she refused to accept that anything was different until it sort of presented her in the face. And even then, I think she still called them magic in a later episode.
All right, this is a really interesting group here. All right, so attack each other. I'll give you a couple of minutes, and I'll make my decision then.
To go against Philip, I think that Gordon would tell Philip, like, hey, shut up, Santa's not real. And then Philip would be like, oh. Or it would be over the span of an episode where he's like, oh, wait, yeah. I think Philip would sort of realize. And then in terms of Henry, I think that, I don't think he'd hold to it as, this idea of hope. I think he'd just, see the lie, and then he'd be like, oh, yeah, that's the Santa Claus lie. And then he'd be like, okay, cool. But he wouldn't spoil that for Percy. He'd, help Percy, or sort of encourage it, because he likes Percy.
Well, I think with Philip that he would, even if Gordon said something, he wouldn't care. Because, with that race, Gordon was like, Philip, you bumbling dope. We did not even race. You didn't even win. And Philip's like, I won, as he does.
Oh,
and what?
Sorry.
Oh. So I don't, and I mean, Philip, I feel not that he doesn't care what engines think, but if he believes something, I don't feel like he would be the one to cave into peer pressure. Or if someone was like, hey, you shouldn't believe this. As if he thought it was right or true, I think he would still go on believing it.
I just want to say, though, with Henry,
That's a fair point.
Because Henry, the most of his life was he was struggling, and he was a failure of an engine. Everyone, said he was a terrible design. And he was pushed down, and he was failed, and he constantly kept drawing the opposite of drawing sort of stick, but he kept on moving on. There was wheel turn after wheel turn. Henry kept on surviving, even though he was called a failure, and he was never going to be able to be a really useful engine. And the thing is, on that winter night in the cold, Henry crashed, and this was one of the biggest accidents on Soda. And the fact that he survived that, he survived such a big accident, and went from being one of the weakest engines on the island to one of the strongest goods engine on the entire island, and going through this massive rebuild. Henry, on that winter night, he might even think that there was some sort of Christmas magic involved in that, and that there was magic in the air that he survived such a feat. Because how can an engine be completely rebuilt from such a failure to such a success? And the fact that Henry, I feel like he would believe. There's even hope that he could believe in something such as that.
Well, I want to say that could very well also be him talking about God or another being like that. The fact that he would decide that was Santa.
Well, no, it's wintertime.
Wait. Actually, Point Kipper takes place in January time. I looked this up on the wiki. It says that he was good in, he was completely rebuilt in a few weeks. And I looked it up.
We're going up a wiki
a few weeks.
We're going up a wiki knowledge, really?
Well, it says he came back in the springtime
Uh-oh.
after a few weeks of being repaired. So, like,
Henry came. First of all, it did not take him a few weeks to be repaired. It took Henry months of extensive work at crew. Anything of the wiki says, I'm immediately not going to interpret because the wiki said Henry was a C1. If you think the wiki is right, then yeah, you can go.
We're not getting into that right
Henry's
now.
a
Okay.
C1. But anyways,
We're-
I'm going to say that Henry...
That's a whole other can of
And
worms.
even then, I think that Henry's, rebuild, a simple overhaul takes months of expensive work. And the fact that Henry went from such a failure of a class to a Black 5 and survived this whole entire thing and came through as the underdog of the story, even being told he couldn't, survive. If you do think that would take in weeks of time, if this was, a winter, he took place in winter, and he thought there was some magic and, like, Christmas spirit involved in this, the fact that he got rebuilt in, like, just weeks of time even furthers my point, because there's no way a rebuild like that would take place in such short time. To replace the fire bars inside the tanks and, like, to rebuild the boiler and all its frames and everything, that would take months and months and maybe even up to, like, years of extensive work. And there was no way that'd be able to take place in a week, especially at crew. So I do think that even if it did take place in that amount of time, then Henry, that even supports my knowledge that Henry could think
it said weeks plural, but going with your point, I do think that he'd be a lot more cynical, and I feel like Santa works because kids don't know who's putting the presents under the tree, but he's literally present for, like, everything happening to him. He's not going to think Santa's fixing him. He sees who's fixing him. So it's like, I don't think he'd necessarily believe it's Santa. I don't feel he'd be like, I feel he'd be a lot more cynical to the idea, but he'd still want Percy to, like, think that.
Yeah, well, and wait, can I just say one thing, please?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Why do you sound afraid of me?
I wanted to say, like, that the Henry with Santa, that whole thing you're saying, I think that could be a very interesting theory, but none of that is necessarily true. But with Philip, that's, like, I think it fits in with his character so perfectly that I don't see why he wouldn't believe in Santa.
Well, Henry had also been shown in the show for believing in such, crazy things, like, a ghost sailor and so many different things like this. But the thing is...
That's something he can't explain. He can explain why he's repaired. Also, Miles, I just want to...
No, but I'm not thinking, Alex, when someone says, Christmas spirit brought a couple together, they don't think that Santa was grabbing both of their necks and making them make it.
This is about Santa. This isn't about Christmas spirit.
Santa did not build Henry back. I'm not saying that, but Henry could think that there was some Christmas spirit involved in it, or some sort of magic. That if Henry was to believe in some sort of magic, that, like, it is a miracle that Henry was built like that. Henry could even have that idea. But I do think deep down he would believe in Santa because he had been shown to believe in things like this. And the bigger engines would be putting such a burden on them that Henry would feel bad to even
He's been shown to believe in things he can't explain, but he can explain why he's rebuilt, and it might be Christmas spirit, but that's not Santa. Santa can bring Christmas spirit, but that doesn't mean he believes in the physical
There's no way Henry can explain why he got a complete overhaul in just a couple weeks. There's no way he can explain that.
It said a few weeks.
All right. I've heard a lot on Henry. I need to hear more on Philip and Marion right now. Just for the sake of time.
In all honesty, Miles, I kind of agree with what you said on Philip a lot, and I feel that Philip and Marion, I feel like it kind of applies to both of them. So, like, oof, I don't know how to combat this.
Yeah.
The thing is, but with Philip and Marion, is that both of them are, like, those characters. The thing is, Philip and Marion are both gullible in a sense, and I don't think Henry is necessarily gullible. He doesn't fall at, like, a cost of, like, I think Henry has some sort of knowledge when he knows being tricked. I would say that Marion, like Philip, and even Marion too, like definitely Marion, are oblivious of, like, stuff going on around them.
Yeah.
Like,
they believe Santa in a second.
Yeah.
And even if someone told them it was a lie, like, Henry would probably think about it if he did believe in Santa. But, like, Marion and Philip, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's my boy Santa.
Yeah, my bestie. He's my rock, dude.
I know, but the thing is, though, the thing is, they would be gullible enough to, just, like, say Santa is real and, like, stuff like that. But I think, like, to truly believe in it, that actually, like, Santa is, like, doing something. I don't think Philip, the thing is, to be so oblivious to something, I don't think that Marion and Philip extensively, like, think about Santa and what he's doing, because those engines don't
Ooh.
give that much knowledge to it. And, you know, clearly, like,
Well-
when he raced Gordon, Philip didn't think about it, how Gordon, like, about any of the logistics of it. He just thought he won, or how Marion even thinks about all the things that she digs up on her shovel. She's like, oh, I have this, I have that. Like, she truly believes it. Like, she really does.
Yeah, she
But
tries
the
to
thing-
rationalize everything.
But the thing is, though, like, to be so oblivious to all that, they clearly do not put that much thinking into any of it. So I don't think they truly, like, would believe in Santa and, like, the magic that is him. I would say that they, at face value, would say that Santa is real, but I think that Henry does believe that there is some magic behind Santa and would believe in Santa as a whole and would give it some thought, because Henry is a very smart engine. But Philip and Marion are pretty dumb. I'm going to say
Well,
it.
I'd say Marion would, like, vehemently believe in it. Like, she believed that the small engines were magic just from some little thing, and she, like, held Mike at shovel point. She was relentless with it. She completely changed all her values to be around magic. Digging, oh no, I need to think about magic. So I think if Marion, like, was confronted with the
most
idea of
the
Santa,
movie,
she'd be obsessed with it.
In a lot of the movie, she was focused on digging. The half
Because of the magic.
The half of the movie was her going and digging when she went to go dig up the treasure and digging with Jack and all of them. And when Thomas, raced down the
But her
hall.
extra motive was the magic that she thinks the little engines granted her. She's always looking for the treasure because she thinks that it's a magic thing the little engines gave her. Like, her whole thing is sort of centered around this magic that she believes exists and tries to rationalize.
Yeah, and she's being surrounded by Oliver and all of those engines, and she's being focused on this. But the thing is, she never gives any thought to it. She just she just
so what though?
So oblivious.
Yeah,
and then,
she still
and then she even
believes.
gets proved wrong.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing with Philip too. Like Philip is the character who, like, if he hears something, he'll believe it, And I feel like with Santa, he like wholeheartedly will believe it. And so what if he's not like? He's not like, well, how could this be true?
When you believe in something, you believe in the true essence. When someone believes in a religion, for example, you believe that this thing...
Okay,
No.
we're going to call it right there.
Yeah, let's not go
We're
there.
going to call it right there.
I'm just saying,
All right.
okay, no. Okay, if you believe in something,
I'm saving you.
But
Trust me.
Henry would think about how, like, gross or how weird the Santa idea is if you really thought about it.
Think about it, but when their version of believing it is just a
This
simple,
isn't like religion. This is a lie. Santa isn't religion.
Will.
He's a lie that's told. Like, and then when you learn the lie, you're like, oh.
Anything that you believe in, you give it some thought. But I don't
Santa's
think
a fat
thought,
man that brings people toys. It's a weird concept, but I don't think, like, it's not a belief system. It's not like a faith. It's just an idea that you tell kids to give them toys, but then when they find out, it's not like,
well,
Will, the thing is, if you're going to talk about belief, no one like that's like developed with a developed mind is like, yes, Santa is legitimately real, So like, no matter what, that argument can't work because there's like I don't know. It's just like
anyone with a developed mind
this
can
argument
believe
is
that
running
Santa is real. There are
really
many people
long.
that are smart that think Santa is real.
Well, like, if you're like, yes, Santa comes down with the presents, and like he comes into
the
my
spirit
house.
of Christmas and Santa are different.
Yeah.
All right.
It's so yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. I gotta cut the argument short. This was a tough one because I'm really been stuck between two people, and I'm edging it out, and this person will, I guess, win the episode.
Wait, the person was Will?
No, it'll be Alex.
Oh.
Alex will win as he'll get 3 points, and there'll be no way that anybody could tie with him. But we'll still do the last question anyway, just because it's Christmas. It was really tough between Marion and Philip because the guys basically argued very similar things to them. But I think when Alex started comparing Marion's magic arc and Lost Treasure and really getting into detail about that, I think that kind of edged it out for me. The Henry thing, Will, I was behind in the beginning when you started talking about, like, Henry believing in it because Percy believes in it and, like, they have that connection. And I was really behind that. And then when it started slipping into like the Christmas spirit thing, you kind of started getting away from Santa. And I think that's when I started losing you. But moving on, the last question, and this question really doesn't matter who wins, but it'll just be interesting to see what the answers we get. The last question's very simple. If you could, what present would you give to Thomas the Tank Engine? What is the absolute perfect gift for him? And we'll start with Will.
I think Thomas should get a dog. No. I think Thomas would like I was kind of getting about a station.
So
What?
you give Thomas his own station.
A station, okay? Move on. I'll explain.
Okay.
Oh,
What?
All right. Miles, your turn.
Okay, well, I say we give Thomas another branch line.
Are you gonna give Thomas another branch line?
No, my
Give him
actual... Can I
gravel,
tell you?
give him
No.
Jesus.
No, if he got like a medal that was just like just like that he runs the most important line, a medal that he could display in his cab or on his like side tanks, I think that would be the best Christmas present for him.
All right, so a medal. And Alex?
and an advertisement about his branch line and him specifically.
So like a billboard type thing, or like a
That can
commercial.
It can be anyone, just like marketing for his branch line, but more focused around him. I guess I was imagining like a poster that advertised the Farquhar branch with like Thomas front and center, like, but it's painting him in this really propagandized sort of light where he's like
Like a Big
all
Brother
night.
vibe.
Yeah, Big Brother, like he is the savior sort of vibe on this poster. I feel that would like feed his ego and love for his work, and just sort of like I feel he'd really love that for a long time.
All right, let's do this very quickly since we already know the winner. But let's just see. I want to hear your points. So why would you give Thomas a station, Will?
Okay, so Thomas loves his coaches and his branch line, and he brags about it to like literally every engine possible. And he feels proud that he owns something of his own. And I hope you realize I'm not giving him a freaking station. He would have a station named after him. So the thing is, Thomas is a bit of a jerk. You know, as much as he does love his friends, he's kind of materialistic. And he's almost friends with everyone on the island. Something most engines aren't. So, like, to have, like, another great friend isn't something that, like, stands out to him. It's not like, whoa, another awesome, like, something about friendship. Like, it has to be something materialistic, you know? And something that, you know, he can brag about. And the thing is, a station, crucial part of a railway, like, someone could visit, and something that's named after him would be something that he could still proudly gloat about. Because, you know, most of the engines have, like, a thing that's named after them. And, you know, Thomas, like, the only thing I would top a branch line that Thomas is named after him would be a station. And the thing is, though, like, Thomas, first of all, he got a medal before. And there's billboards all over the island, you know, displaying, like, there's illustrations and, like, such that, like, talk about how Farquhar branch line is, like, as being, like, shown off in, like, different places as though they're being advertised. But the thing is, place that people can visit and know that this is Thomas's, not just, like, a location that something happens at it that is named after him. Like, Henry's Tunnel wasn't built and named after Henry immediately. It was because Henry had an incident there. Gordon had an incident on the hill. But to have an actual structure, not just like a location on the island named after them, Thomas can brag about that to no end. And like the thing is, bragging about a medal, they can easily just like say that that's some silly like medal that like some random person said that it was like your best branch line, but all sensible people know that it's not the best one. Thomas would get pissed about that. And just the billboard, like advertising. There are many billboards and posters and like books advertising the Wild and the West of the train Gordon pulls. So Thomas, it's not that as special of a gift to Thomas. It's just another like advertisement for him. So that's what I think.
All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about this medal.
All right. Well, the thing is, I think, yeah, Thomas did get a medal, but he got a medal for delivering medals. So, like, to get one that's like, Thomas, your accomplishments matter and are significant enough that we're giving you something to commemorate that. That would boost his ego so much. He would love that to death. And he could always appreciate that, you know, and the value it has to him. And, I mean, if it's on a medal, it's got to have some merit to it, you know. So, like, the engines, like, he would go on and on about it. And the other engines could try to counter that, but I really don't think Thomas would take any of it to heart. Because he has a medal that's saying that he's so cool, and he already thinks he's so cool. So, like, I think that would just make him ecstatic, and he would love that present so
He
much.
ain't as cool as me.
Shut up, Will. Will, shut up.
Alex.
So, in retrospect, knowing what everyone else has said, I feel like my idea is like the junior version to Will's. It's essentially the same points, but I feel that Will's actually properly like conveys it to the maximum degree. But essentially, like, it's something tangible that sort of will feed Thomas's ego to like a huge extent because everybody's gonna see him. Everybody's gonna see the poster of him. Everyone's gonna see the enlightened photo of Thomas proudly on his branch line, and I feel like he'd really enjoy that widespread like name and knowledge more so than he already is. Yeah, and he'd just have fun like people taking photos of him. He'd feel happy and important.
He gets photo taken of every day though, because like the Railway series is basically a massive, and the TV series are just like a massive advertisement for him. So just to have another simple billboard I don't think would mean too much to him. A statue like commemorating like that massive statue like Thomas like wanted to be part of, that was like a really big deal. So like that had all the engines. But if it was like a statue of just Thomas, that would be like a big deal. But have like something that's named after him, built named after him, and I think a statue like it doesn't have. There is not engine statues because it doesn't have any like use to a railway. So one of the bigger engines could easily write it off as just like, it's a piece of metal that like could be used to build something important, and it's just taking up space. But like to have a station that's actually like useful for a railway, like that Gordon would drop his passengers off of. Like to have it on the main line would mean something even because like
Oh yeah, totally.
he could totally brag about that. Like, you guys are using my station, so it's important for you guys. And that's like an actual thing that was built. So they can't just write it off as being not important because it clearly is important to the railway.
Well, yeah, but Gordon also has a hill and Henry has a tunnel. So, like,
yeah, but those
they could just be like, yeah, well, we have those.
No, but those are named after embarrassing incidents. You know how every single person ever who has done something talks about, like, when they bring up the tunnel incident or any of that, they get pissed off because they don't like that. But Gordon's Hill it's the name that we call the hill. Everyone just calls it, it's just a normal hill on the island, but the other engines use it as kind of, to poke fun at the others. But this isn't something to poke fun at. This is a literal station named after Thomas.
But the thing is, how did Thomas earn the station? Oh, it's Christmas. They just wanted to give him a gift.
No,
but it's literally that's it. Thomas's branch line, getting that medal would mean that, like, that's saying that his branch line is the most important. That's like he earned it. He earned it, and it's a Christmas present. It's perfect. But getting a station just named after him, I feel like that's, like, I mean, yeah, like, he would freak out. That would be really cool. But, like, he didn't earn it. He just got it. Whereas this medal he would have earned.
When you're an engine, your morals are different to a human. And when you're a human, you want something that like you can hold and like cherish or whatever. And like that's yours, that you possess it. But the thing about Thomas is that like all engines, their goal is to be really useful. To know that Thomas has a station that is an actual use to the railway. That is not just like some like metal that he keeps in his cab to himself. I feel like that would mean more to him.
Well, Thomas wouldn't keep it to himself, though. Because he would display it.
I think I have my answer, and I'm going to give this point to Will. But I'm going to point out something interesting that I'm surprised that nobody brought up is technically in both the Railway series and the TV series, Ellsbridge is sometimes referred to as Thomas's Junction. So by that technical definition, when I say Railway series, I mean Nafford.
Ellsbridge isn't a, like, what? Ellsbridge is, oh, okay, good.
When I say Ellsbridge in the Railway series, I meant Nafford, but it's referred to colloquial, I cannot talk at after 1 a.m. It's known to people sometimes as
branch. Sorry.
I can't talk.
Thomas's branch line.
Sometimes it's Thomas's Junction, which is a station on the main line, but it's not official. So I am going to allow Will's answer.
Yay.
I gave it to Will because, Thomas has had a medal before for his valor, and he's gotten stuff before for being, running his branch line and stuff like that. He's gotten awards, accolades, and the poster thing, again, as Will mentioned, a lot of people have gotten the poster. So the actual station named after him, something similar to Scarlowi and Rheneas, would be very cool.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I should have made that point. What the heck? Okay, sorry.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't, but it was still
I guess I'm just dumb.
All right, well, Miles, you had a nice first bounce. Sorry you couldn't put any points on the board, but you did your best. Will, you did good, but not good enough. So, Alex, you'll be moving on to the semifinals, but that won't be for a while, so I'll get in contact with you. Pat, do you guys have anything you'd like to say, anything you'd like to plug before we have to go?
Alex got low-hanging fruit. So I literally was talking to Miles before this, and we both said we were going to choose Marion, but we didn't. And then we both said that we were going to choose the Glen one, but we didn't.
I'd like to plug in this.
So you know what? We took one for the team. Good job, me and Miles. Alex, you suck. High five, Miles.
Well, in the spirit of Christmas, I would like to promote Will and Miles' channel to give some goodwill. So please go give them a subscribe and a like.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make a video for Christmas, guys. Please watch it.
Okay, so I don't know. Go to like Alex's Google Plus and then like try and hack it.
Please,
I don't know how.
Please do, actually. That would be really funny.
All right.
DM Alex a photo of a cat. If you do that, then I will be very happy. Like, I want to see how many DMs.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm TrainKing James, and this is the Thomas Battles. I'll see you guys around next time.